see we have a few folks already. Welcome. It's Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project and the Doug.Show. I see David is on. How are you today? And Abhishek. Hopefully you can hear me. You can let me know in the chat that you could hear me. Say hello. Let me know where you're from. And I sort of confirm that I heard myself, so that's always good. Today we're going to go through a few different areas. So a lot of stuff to talk about today. I'm just going to hit a little bit of a, I guess, what will we call this? I'm going to tell you what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to look at a multi-six-figure affiliate site. And this is one that you may have seen in the past because we've talked about it. We actually talked to the owner at one point, and Joseph's on too. What's going on? So we're going to look at some of the details on that, and I will tell you all about it. There are specific details with the actual earnings from 2019 and the earnings impact overall from the Amazon commission rate change. And I'm just checking my audio level. Sometimes it just changes. The machine just has a mind of its own and it just shifts. One cool part is around the theme of the site. So not only do we know about the earnings from last year, we have more details about what the owner is going to be doing since Amazon changed the commission rate change, but it's also one of those sites where you can buy the theme that they're using, right? So pretty cool, and I'll tell you about that. I've been playing around with that theme as well. It will lead me into just a brief talk about income stacking. My friend Ron talks about that all the time. He's over at the 1 Hour Professor, and it sort of goes hand in hand with the site that we're going to tear down. I'm going to tell you a little bit about an upcoming challenge that is going to be postponed. All right. So it was originally scheduled for June 1st, but we're pushing it out 1 week, and you'll be able to sign up for that. It is free. It's a live challenge, and it should be pretty awesome. I've been putting together a lot of material for it, and I will also answer some questions like when I normally do. It looks like it may be sort of a smaller crowd today, just in general, although we're only 3 minutes in. Aside, I haven't been sleeping as well the last couple days. One night I just woke up super early, and usually I could fall back asleep. It's not crazy unusual for me to wake up in the middle of the night, get a sip of water, go pee, stuff like that. But I couldn't fall back asleep the other night. So I've been trying to catch up on my sleep. It's been rough because I could tell I'm just slower. My brain operates much slower. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. The other thing that may be semi-related is it's been warm in the Denver, Colorado area. It was warm for a couple days, close to 90 and very windy. So really sunny, really windy, generally not that pleasant. And in the morning, it's not too bad. The cool thing is it's not so hot and humid just in general. I mean, we're up at a mile high. Back in Atlanta, where I'm from, it would be humid and hot, and you would get up in the morning and it would be 70 degrees with 70% humidity, and it would feel sticky and just not that awesome. Around here, it cools off at night, even when it's hot during the day. Anyway, the whole point being, I sleep much better when it's cooler, and it was just a few degrees warmer for a couple nights, and I could definitely tell. So it's kind of, it's a battle. It's a spousal battle on what temperature to keep it, especially at night. But I definitely sleep better when it's just a little bit cooler. We see Edward on. We got Chunky Moose and Denise. So good to have everyone on. Quick shout out to Ezoic. This is brought to you in part by Ezoic. They are a Google certified partner, and they have a pretty awesome tool called the Site Speed Accelerator that I've been playing around with on one site. And I was able to take the Google page speed insight score from around the high 20s, low 30s, all the way up to the very high 90s. You do have to do a tiny bit of configuration, and the cool part is you can get a 7-day trial. You could follow the link in the description of this video. You can test it out. They guarantee that you'll rank or your page speed insight score will be over 80. So if you have any issues with it, you could contact them and they will help you out. And if you have any trouble getting in touch with them, just let me know. I could ping people over there. In fact, I'm doing that for a couple folks currently. So thanks to Ezoic. And let's, it looks like more people are filtering in, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about the site we're going to look at. It's called Swim University. Again, I've mentioned it before because Matt Giovanisi, the founder, the owner of the site, was on this channel a couple times. We did a live stream right after the Amazon commission rate change. I also interviewed him in his office, in his studio, before there was any sort of quarantine or any issues like that. I think it was like either early March or late February. It was right in that time frame there. Maybe it was February. I remember it snowed that day, so I drove down and it was a little snowy that day. Anyway, this site is pulling in a pretty huge amount of cash, over I think 300K back in 2019. And I'll show you some of the details in just a second here. And I put some links in the description so you could watch the other videos with Matt and some of the details. But I'm just going to kick it off by like showing a clip from Matt here. And if I can get the cameras to switch, there we go. A clip from Matt talking about this site getting over 500,000 visitors a month. So pretty astounding number, and it's pretty cool. So we're going to dive in a second, but here's Matt talking about a site.
So I've gotten a little bit of kickback on this strategy because they're like, you know, we're in quarantine, like all other YouTubers are suffering. I'm like, I'm not seeing that in my stats. We have a high CPM. I think it's because we have an affluent audience of pool owners. My guess, we're currently sitting at about an $8 to $9 CPM, and that hasn't changed. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but you know, that's not the only revenue stream. So that is like, yes, that's ads. That's like the whole, you know, AdSense partner, you know, YouTube monetization partnership where, you know, we're just literally clicking check boxes. Monetize this video? Yes. We don't curse in our videos. Our videos are very educational. They are high in search. So it's like, it just does well for us. And there's so many more like pool search terms that we could go after that we haven't yet. And so that's kind of like what we're doing. We're just literally producing videos every week, trying to do even more than that to just get search traffic from YouTube. And obviously we get traffic from embedding those YouTube videos on our website because our website gets a ton of traffic. For context in that, we're roughly at about 500,000 visitors a month, unique visitors. Now that's more in the summertime than it is in the wintertime. So in the summer, in June, we're getting like 1.2 to 1.5 million. And in January, we get like 250,000. So averaging it out to 500. So with that, we're thinking, okay, well, you know, that's a lot of people watching videos that probably don't have YouTube Red, YouTube Premium now. And they're watching the ads, and they're probably somewhat relevant because they're not getting Ty Lopez ads. They're getting like, you know, home and garden ads probably. Yeah. So that's kind of just the move there is just to kind of create more videos. It's like the only way. But on top of that, every single one of our videos, in the description and in the video itself, we're promoting our products, giving out coupon codes, and we're tracking that. YouTube descriptions have a 3% conversion rate on sales.
What?
That's the description.
That's so crazy because in the internet marketing world, I do a lot of videos, you know, and it's pretty tough to get someone to click off of YouTube because there's so many awesome other videos popping up over there.
Again, different audience. Like I don't think my audience is our YouTube like consumers. Like when I want to relax for the day, I will get on my phone, I will go on YouTube, and I will just lay in bed and I'm going to go YouTube for a while. Just like I'm not going to Netflix and chill. It's the same thing. I don't think my parents do that. You know, they might find a video and they may like go down a little rabbit hole, but they're probably like on a website learning about pool care. They're like, oh, cool, a video. Don't even give a shit that it's YouTube or not. You know, or they they Google something in my YouTube thing, because that's the other thing too, is like you create more videos. Videos are appearing higher in the search results than posts. And it's my fucking face. It's just me going like, buy clear your pool algae. And it's like, click my face, buy my product. So I think just in general, like, you know, I just recently did 2 experiments. One experiment was I'm going to try to tackle Pinterest and see if Pinterest is a viable marketing strategy for Swim University, which it does get. It's the 3rd highest traffic source for us. Does do well. It's kind of like, I feel like it's maxed out a bit. The second thing is I did a podcast, and that failed horribly. I did it, so I learned, and it's like, okay, well, where are we gonna double down outside of, like, you know, it's gonna be YouTube.
What happened with the podcast? I mean, you host one of the more popular podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, you're an excellent podcaster. So what happened with the swim?
Microphone.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't think people care to listen to pool care audio. I just don't think they care.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, there's another guy out there who's got a pretty big YouTube channel. I think he's like 60,000 subscribers. I think he's the biggest pool YouTuber, and every other video he creates is a podcast. So he does it video, and then it becomes a podcast, an audio version. He's got ratings. I you know, I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I don't know I don't know him personally, so I don't know if he's making any money from the audio side of things, but I'm sure he's doing well with YouTube. I mean, with 60,000 subscribers, that's not, in that industry, it's not bad.
Yeah.
We're sitting at 30,000 subscribers, and we do pretty well. We did, like, yeah, you said 11,000. This month we're gonna do like 1,500 in ad sales. It's like, okay, that's a revenue stream to me, for sure. So I'm like, video just seems like it's always something I've always wanted to do, and now's the time to just kind of double down on it, because it's just like, who knows?
All right, that was Matt Giovanisi there from MoneyLab.co, and he owns the site Swim University that we're going to take a look at in a second here. And yeah, thanks for the folks that just hopped on. We are just going to dive in and do a sort of a mini teardown of the site, talk about a couple things. And I do want to mention one other sort of teaser right now, but I will mention it again later because I'm going to be playing a clip. And I just need to pull up the specific email that I was thinking of here, which, if I could find it, I probably can't find it here. Got a lot of tabs. There's a lot of windows open. All right. A couple weeks ago, I gave you a little update about Ellen. And Ellen, a lot of people will probably remember, she was making like $3,000 a month a couple years ago, basically. Very popular interview, one of the most popular interviews. And people wanted an update. I was exchanging some emails, but she kind of wanted to lay low. She wasn't super interested in doing an interview, which I respect for a few reasons. One of them was just, hey, I want to stay under the radar a little bit. The other is she wanted me to mention this specifically. She was like, she wanted to be under the radar, and she said that she had a baby, right? She wanted to focus on the pregnancy, having the baby, and she didn't want to sound suspicious on why she hasn't done an update or anything like that. So a few weeks ago, I read her update. I'll sort of hit the highlights a little bit later today. And I may do a standalone video where I just, sort of talk about where she was at a couple years ago and then what she got to. Basically, she's just been growing and doing awesome, and her family's doing well. So she did want me to mention that. So Ellen, if you're listening to this, I did finally get around to get the update to everyone. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of MoneyLab.co and Swim University. I want to, give Matt the proper plugs out there just in general. So I'm going to talk about MoneyLab a little bit, and he gives us a lot of background on the site in general, which is obviously helpful if we're going to look at some of those details. And boom, getting better with the keyboard shortcut. So this is Matt's site, his internet marketing site, and you can see real-time experiments in making money online. And it's a pretty good blog. Go check out some of his stuff. There's a few posts that I'm going to highlight since they're highly relevant here. So number one, He was a little bit upset when the Amazon commission rate changes came around on April 14th. We all got news of that. And if you were new to the channel, new to this situation, basically Amazon was paying a certain amount, a certain commission rate, depending on the category. And they changed those categories. They gave us about a week notice, 1 week's notice. So we got an email on the 14th of April, and then the changes rolled out on the 21st. Some people, it looked like, didn't get impacted for a couple weeks. It seems like maybe there was a bit of a propagation depending on certain accounts, but I did hear from people, more than I would have expected, quite a few people that basically just had the same rates. They were getting paid more and they thought they made it out, but they lowered it. So in general, Amazon lowered the rates, and for many people, it was going to be a huge drop in the range of 30 to 50% for some people. And it depends on your site and all those specifics. There's no exact sort of estimate that anyone can give. You kind of have to look at your own stats. And what we're looking at here is Matt's post, because he was like, oh man, I'm going to have to really, change things up. The reason why I'm scrolling down is because there's a few things I want to highlight here. Number one, from the site we're about to look at here, Matt in 2019 made $283,000 from Amazon affiliate, $77,000 from digital product sales, and $11,000 from YouTube ads, for a gross total revenue of $371K, almost $372. So that's a lot. Now, one thing I want to point out is Matt has some people working with him. It's not, the margins are high, but Matt has some people working with him. As I mentioned, you have to make an estimate based on your own site, your own historical earnings, and that sort of thing. Matt's estimate was that he's going to lose $176,929 in affiliate commissions. Ouch. So that's pretty rough, right? Now, one thing I want to point out is 280, and then you're going to drop by 176. That is obviously a very large percentage. That's a huge amount. It's, what is that, like 60%? It's over 50%, right? So it's over 50%. Really dramatic. However, it is really interesting that even with that huge drop, the other revenue is still pretty close to what most people would be happy with. So it'd be about $88,000. $88,000 is pretty good, and assuming, and that's just completely ignoring Amazon, by the way, completely ignoring Amazon. But as it stands, he's still going to make over six figures from Amazon, all else being equal, right? So we're just assuming a level sort of estimate static from 2019 to 2020. So with all that in mind, still doing really good in that, when we do the math, it's over $200,000 from the site. So still multi six figures, still very lucrative, very high margins, high profit margins, generally lower expenses. Now, Matt doesn't divulge that here, but he does have some people working for him, some folks writing, an editor. However, it's very lean. And if you want more details on how he runs his team and the number of people, all those details, there's a link in the description for a full interview I did with Matt. It's like an hour plus long, and we go through all those details. And it's before COVID-19 hit us as hard in Colorado, in the US in general. So Matt and I were sitting at his desk having a conversation right there. So, all right. So that's the stuff going on. The other thing I'm going to point out here is around, he is going to run some experiments. So there's some things that he wants to do. And this shows the exact impact, by the way, of the commission rate change here. So things were trucking along really good, things are great, making thousands of dollars a day. And then it's down, around, if I just had to estimate, a little bit under $1,000 a day. Still That's great. This is just from Amazon too, so there's other revenue coming in. Like I mentioned before, one of the key things is he does have some diversity in his revenue streams, but there's so much more he can do. We'll talk about that just a little bit, but he's pointing out a few of those items in this experiment and some of the things he's going to do. Links in the description to MoneyLab.co. So I encourage you to have a look at some of the further details. I'm not going to read the whole set of what's going on here and all his strategy because I want to look at the site. So here's the site, Swim University. And you'll notice that it looks pretty similar to Matt's site. That's because he's using the same theme. And it was a custom theme that he started putting together. It's called Carbonate. And people kept asking for it until he put it together in a package and sold it. So Nathan says that he's using it in the chat there. I'm using it. I'm testing it. I'm going to be using it on a new site that I'm going to be building in the next few weeks, which, by the way, I'm actually going to be building it inside of a course. So I'm doing a course. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that are coming up. The course is one of them, and part of that is going to be building a new site within the course. Really cool. I've never done that before. It's sort of there's some risk involved with doing it, but I'm gonna go for it. So anyway, you can pick up this theme. It's called Carbonate, and it's extremely fast. So a couple cool things as you scroll down, you'll see there's a simple menu at the top. There's not a monster huge menu. It's just pool care, hot tubs, search, and products. Pretty straight to the point. All right. It's really confusing for people if they land on your site and you have too many things in the menu. We feel like we want to give people all those options. We want to give people as many choices as they can handle, but usually it's too much. It's too much. So the next thing you'll notice is you can go to pool care or hot tub care, and then when we get down to the sort of the post zone here on the homepage, there's just several different ones from, pool or hot tub. Pretty wide range here. I don't know how many are on there, quite a few. And it looks fairly clean. It loads fast. I preloaded this, but that is one of the huge advantages with the theme that Matt put together here. It's extremely fast. It's lean. It embodies a lot of the stuff that I aim for and that I had talked about for a long time, even before I knew Matt and before I knew he had this theme. And this is, it's actually a little bit leaner, a little bit simpler to use than the one that I use on Niche Site Project called Focus. It's the Focus WordPress theme. Focus is great. I think it's way more mature. It's built on the Thesis platform, it's been around for a while. It's one of the first premium WordPress themes that came out in, I think it was either late 2007 or 2008. I can't remember, but it's been around for a very long time. So Thesis is much more mature, and you can get support. With Carbonate, Matt put it together for people to buy, but it's so simple that he doesn't even offer support. It is a great framework to build on top of. Nathan is mentioning that he's been adding more CSS and call to action links, just things for formatting. So he's been editing the CSS and adding to the CSS so that he can basically format things how he wants to, which is kind of what I'm doing as well. So although I'm getting help with that because I started playing around with the CSS and it's really fun, but I end up losing like 2 hours every time I look down. I'm like, oh, I'm going to try and tweak this. And then I don't know. It's fun. So I just get lost in the whole thing. So let's look at the about page. We'll take a quick look at the disclosures, and then we'll look at one of the posts. The fun part is when I do these teardowns, they can go on for hours, but I'm going to try to just keep it pretty tight. A couple of the things I always like to look at is the about page. If you have a good about page, it helps you in many ways land guest posts, because if you have a crappy about page and you ask for a guest post on someone's site, they check out your about page and they see that it's no good and maybe comes off untrustworthy, they may not want to work with you at all. But in this case, Matt discloses everything here, and he talks about Swim University and his story. He started in the industry at age 13 and on and on. There's also a bunch of YouTube videos. So there's one here, one of his more popular YouTube videos for Swim University there. Who are we? And there's the people that work on the site. It looks very professional and well put together. So this is the kind of stuff you want to see on the About page. There's links to some of the best work. And, if you don't have a team, that's okay. You could just have yourself. A picture could be really helpful to add trust and just make it seem more authentic. You'll notice on the bottom here, in the footer, there's a note about working with Amazon. So that is noted here. I also pulled up the disclosures page. So disclosure, terms of use, and privacy policy. This is boring, right? So, but you don't want to read this whole thing, or we're not going to read this whole thing right now. You can take a look if you want to get an idea what you may need to put in yours for like the privacy policy and terms of use. But they do mention they sell their own products, affiliate commissions, and advertising partnerships. And that is a key thing here because, as I pointed out earlier, while Swim University makes a ton from Amazon associates, they're going to get hit hard because they've leaned very, very heavily on Amazon associates, just like me. And Matt and I talked about how we had been lazy. It was just really easy to monetize that way, even though there probably were better options as far as affiliate programs, especially Matt being so deep in the swimming and hot tub space. He probably could have worked on specific brand deals and earned more on certain products. Thus, it would have diversified his revenue streams and he'd be in better shape. Their own products there, that's fantastic because the margins are really high. There's a couple courses there, which we can take a peek at in a second. But in general, those are the main things: their own products, affiliate commissions, and advertising partnerships. The advertising partnerships are, I'm not sure exactly, how they're structured or anything like that, but there's no display ads. That's one thing that, Matt is pretty firm on, and he mentioned it to me. He mentioned it in the interview. Just ads are something he doesn't like personally, and he really likes a fast loading site. I was browsing around looking at a few people's sites in the last day or two. One of them had, I think it was Mediavine ads, and it took forever to see anything on the page. It was like just sitting there trying to load for like 20 seconds. It was the worst user experience. If I actually was trying to get information from the site, I would have left. I mean, I have no clue how those sites still get traffic. Just people are impatient, but I guess if they really want the data, they will sit around and wait. Anyway, you can take a look at the terms of service here. And I think, if Matt can work out specific advertising partnerships with companies, direct deals, I think, number one, he can arrange it. He could implement those ads in a way that won't slow a site down. One of the problems with ads and display ad networks is there's like real-time auctions going on, which are obviously, it's all AI, it's all software working behind the scenes, but it takes a little while. I mean, these servers are pinging each other, going back and forth. There's data and decisions being made, and basically it takes a while. That's why it takes a while for like Mediavine to load. And I mean, they put ads all over your site. It's a horrible experience for the user, but people do it for money. People do it for money. And if you have a direct deal with a company, you can just have a post that maybe has a banner for that company, and maybe there's an affiliate relationship on top of that. But you perhaps could get paid just to have some banner ads on the pages that are relevant. So if you think a little bit outside the box, you may have a lot more options than you think. So anyway, I can go on and on about that. Instead, let's just take one of these articles and have a quick look. So let's look at a solar pool cover guide. All right, so I'll just click on that, and you'll notice how quick it just loaded there, by the way. So one thing that Matt does, he's trying to get people on the email list, both here on Swim University and on his main website over here. If we go to the top, there's a email opt-in in both cases. So again, it's easy to see the similarities between the two sites with the theme that the common theme that they're using. So as we scroll down, it does, the only downside here is it does push the copy down a little bit, but having someone on your email list is really valuable. If I were to suggest anything to Matt, I would probably say you're like asking for the opt-in before you've provided any value. And there's no real incentive for anyone to sign up. No one actually wants to get more emails. But, okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's a little bit tough. Like there's no value added yet. So potentially I would have what they call a two-step opt-in. So it would get rid of this field right here. I would get rid of this field, and it's just a button. When you click the button, a little pop-up would spawn, and then you could put in your email. I've found a much higher opt-in rate by using the two-step opt-in. Further, instead of just saying, hey, you can join the newsletter, I would suggest that there's some specific content upgrade, a lead magnet specific for this post. 5 reasons solar pool covers are beneficial, or something like that. You want it to be useful, and you want it to be sort of short. It's very valuable to have a quickly consumable one-pager versus some people, right? These were popular at one point in time. Maybe you've heard of these, right? Someone may say, hey, I'm going to put together a 5-video tutorial, a free class, and that's what I'm going to use for my opt-in. Well, the problem with that is it takes a long time to create that, number one. Number two, it takes a long time to consume it. So someone may think, hey, I'm going to sign up for this free class, and then they never get any value from it. So the advantage that you get when you have a one-pager, something short, is people get value from it quickly. It's easier for them to extract the value and see that you're helpful in some way versus, the 5-video class is going to take you a long time to do. And then a lot of people are just not going to watch it. So a lot of it's a waste. Now, if you've already nurtured some bit of the relationship and they already trust you and they have time, maybe it's a specific niche where they have time, then you may be able to make that work. Okay, moving on. Nathan says, you got to head off. What's something I would change or advise Matt to do on the site? So, yep, I'm going to mention a couple of those. And one would be, get rid of the opt-in here. Put it at the bottom or somewhere in the middle, maybe like halfway down, where someone has gotten some value from you already. And now they're thinking, hey, I would sign up for this email list. This person knows what they're talking about. But up here, they may not know yet. All right. So as Derek mentioned before, the theme looks simple and clean, and simple sells better. And that's why he's using Thesis, and I'm continuing to use Thesis, but Carbonate sort of presents things in a similar way. You'll notice no sidebar and just text. It's easy to read. You got a white background, black text. As we scroll down, you'll notice a good usage of subheadings. I think this is probably an H2 tag here. And there's some internal linking here. So you got safety, pool cover. There's a sort of short paragraphs. They look to be, 2 to 3 lines. So often that's 1 or 2, maybe 3 sentences if they're short. There's some further information. They talk about science. Again, there's some external links here, which is good. I think that's an external link. Yep. So that goes to a .gov site. So you're internally linking, you're externally linking. There's custom graphics here. So I think Matt mentioned in our interview, again, you can watch the whole interview with a link in the description. He has someone, create these images for him. I don't know if he has like sketches it out for what he wants, or if there are some sort of existing well done images, perhaps by manufacturers, and they can sort of, make it their own, put their own sort of branding on it and make it look, maybe add value, maybe add a little bit more information on there too. So as we scroll down, and by the way, if people have other questions, let me know. If we scroll down, we see just, very readable, skimmable content. So subheadings, there's more images to break up the text. There are short paragraphs here. Additionally, we have rich formatting. So we have these two bulleted lists here, which are great. You want to use those. It'd be cool to see a table around here. We do have a YouTube video. So Matt does YouTube videos for Swim University, and you can play them, directly from here. They're also very popular on YouTube, so you can check those out. You'll notice this nice feature box, buy now on Amazon. They have a plugin called Lasso that integrates very well with the Amazon affiliate program, right? So it hooks up to the API. It also works, the cool thing is it works with non-Amazon links too. So you could actually set up like a sort of a feature box like this with an Amazon link, an Amazon button like this one, plus you can put another affiliate program on there too, which is pretty cool. There's not as many plugins or companies that are putting that kind of feature where you can put two different products on there. So it's pretty cool to do that. And they're, the logic behind it is if people can see like what the best price is, they're more likely to purchase because they're confident that they're getting the best deal that they possibly can. Where if they just go to Amazon, sometimes there's, different prices just on Amazon, and it's hard to tell if you're actually getting the best deal because things may be packaged up a little bit differently than you expect. So as we are scrolling down, you'll see, just a little bit more of the rich formatting. We get bold here. There's a tip, which is cool. Now, one thing, this is just a formatting thing, and this is probably some of the stuff that Nathan is getting into as well, just like myself. You could have a little shaded box around the tips, right? So you just add more rich formatting, and that is, probably one of the number one things I'll be doing. I've already added a little bit of this very simple CSS, and I just want to actually just mimic what I'm doing on Niche Site Project, some of the built-in formatting that I have on the Thesis WordPress theme is, just to put different colored little boxes. So maybe it's a gray box, a blue box, or a yellow box. And it just sort of emphasizes, especially, the tips, right? Those are perfect to put into a little box. And one of the things that I'm really just trying to emulate some of the formatting that Chris Pearson developed with the Focus WordPress theme. So it's, not essential, but it does make it look better, especially if you're creating like sales pages, which I will be doing some sales pages on some of my content in the future. So that's why it's important to me. Again, we can see the Lasso feature box here for the product, and we'll just scroll down. A lot of the same, and some of the big things that I would recommend, just overall from a high level, and I'm going to pop over here to the big screen before I show you the footer in a second here. But Matt has, like I mentioned, and Matt mentioned, there's a lot of emphasis on the products from Amazon. But in this case, I think, one of the number one things he could do is reach out directly to the solar pool cover manufacturers. There must be a few out there. I don't know anything about pools or the covers or anything, but there are a few products that he's talking about here. And basically, he could reach out directly to those companies. And number one, he could potentially have a direct affiliate deal with any of those companies. He has traffic. he's getting, what did I say before? Like 500,000 visitors a month, or I don't even remember, in a year. I don't remember. There's a ton of traffic. It must be in a month. So there's a ton of traffic. He's getting eyes on YouTube. People watch his video. Like, he has leverage. He has eyes on this. So those companies do want to work with him. And there are competitors, right? So if the main company doesn't want to work with him for whatever reason, he can go to the competitors and say, hey, I'm going to be working with someone in the field here, so who wants to work with me? And if there is actual value to drive visitors from his site to their site, they'll be able to figure it out. The market will help dictate that. If there's an affiliate deal, that's great. He may also be able to work out just display ads. So that's what I mentioned before. Let's say on this post, for example, on this post here, roughly halfway down like this, he could have like a feature box style, right? A feature box style where it's just an ad like, hey, this post is brought to you by blah, blah, blah. He could sell it out by the month. He could switch companies. Again, like, if you have leverage, if you have traffic on your site, you have the leverage, and you could say, yeah, we're not going to do a long contract. We're going to do a month-to-month contract. Yeah, it could be more of a hassle, but if you're exploring the market, trying to figure out the best rates, you may want to have full flexibility in, like, right now and moving forward, to say, yeah, I've been shopping around and basically I see that this is way more valuable than what we've been charging. So yeah, we're renegotiating the rates. Now, you have to tread lightly. You can't be a jerk when you're negotiating contracts, but if you're trying to feel out the market, you do have that option. And you could let them know too. You could say, hey, we're shifting how we're monetizing, and we're testing this out. If you guys are game, we'd love to be partners and see how this works out for everybody. And if it's a new thing, the company probably wants to have flexibility too. They don't want to get roped into like a 6-month or 2-year contract or something where they're stuck and they don't know if they're going to get much of an ROI until after they begin. So that flexibility is pretty cool. So you could have a affiliate deal worked out directly. He could potentially sell some ads. He could have sponsored posts and that sort of thing. So many options in general. This is a theme I'm going to be talking about over and over again. If you have the traffic, you could probably figure out a way to monetize it. And one of the other cool things is, let's say there are some big companies, some big players in the market, but they're also drop shippers, right? So maybe there's some drop shippers in the market, and there's some, maybe, like, I'll just say non-big players. It's not a super mature market, so there's a lot of up-and-comers. And if you start looking around and you see that there are some smaller manufacturers out there, smaller drop shippers who are running ads, they're paying to get eyes on whatever it is that they're selling. So if you're able to partner with one of them, most likely they're going to give you great terms. They are probably going to bend over backwards because they're running ads currently, right? That's kind of part of the drop shipping model. They're running ads. They can see, it's a game of spreadsheets, right? They're just trying to get cheap enough leads and enough conversions and sales to make the math work. Once they find an equation that works well, they will scale up and continue to pay more and more for ads until the model breaks and they're not getting the ROI that they're expecting. So overall, if you can find one of those up-and-comers, they may give you ridiculous terms because they know how much they can afford. They know how much they need to make, how much they can spend per lead. So if you're able to work with them on that, they may give you, like, instead of a 24-hour cookie like Amazon, they may give you like a 30-day, 60-day, an endless cookie or something like that. So those are a couple of the main things. And I'm going to scroll back down because we got to the bottom of the post and there's a couple things that I want to point out. So one, we have the frustrated by adding chemicals and blah, blah, blah. So the pool care handbook and click here to learn more. So I think this is probably one of the products. So I'm going to click on it and see what happens. Boom, it opens in a new window, and then we see, yes, it is a video course, and it's placed in a perfect place there, right? So you're like, oh, I'm going to check it out, and then there's a simple, fairly straightforward sales page here, not too long, not too crazy, and provides good information. There's some testimonials, and again, all simply put together with the Carbonate theme there. All right, so I'll close that up. As we're scrolling down, we'll try to get to the bottom here. So more products. I could repeat myself, but generally it's formatted well. There's products wherever it's relevant. There's videos, and it looks good. Okay. We have the author bio box here. So that looks great. Totally fine. Gives the credibility and authority. Another link to the Pool Care Handbook. So same ad that we saw before. And then here we have the newsletter. So this is the same little window, the same opt-in box that we saw at the very top. I believe it is more appropriate down here after someone has made it through the content. I've heard it explained, like if you land on a website and they're asking for something right away versus like giving something right away, like giving you information versus like asking for your email address, you kind of want to be on the side where you're giving first, because no one wants to have stuff taken from them immediately. No one wants that. Then another feature for this theme, Carbonate, is a recommended reading, and that's built right in. Basically, it links 6 articles that are from the same category. So 6 articles that are from the same category. You could put more or less. That is just a configurable thing that you can do. So that's the long and short of this site. So we just looked at one post, and you could get kind of a pretty good idea on how to format content, the appropriate number of affiliate links, for example. So there's these calls to action here. This title here is an affiliate link. The image is an affiliate link. The button is an affiliate link. So anytime a product's mentioned, you're getting roughly 3 affiliate links here. I personally do enjoy using text calls to action versus the feature boxes. Obviously, Matt's doing really well with the feature boxes, and it plays well with a specific industry. Now, one thing that I probably don't do enough of is testing that sort of thing. So I typically have just stuck with the text calls to action. They serve me well. I have a very high conversion rate on Amazon. People know they're going to Amazon, but I didn't have a good way for a while to insert those feature boxes. I used to use a tool called Ezoic way back in the day. It sort of lost its newness, right? It lost the shine. It wasn't updated as much, and some of the feature boxes they didn't look as good, and I stopped using it. So AmaLinks Pro does a pretty good job with feature boxes. They're rolling out some new themes for those feature boxes so you can make it look a little better. It's very much customizable, but it's even better to have like a look and feel that looks good out of the gate. These on Lasso, the ones on Swim University, I think they look really good. Some of them look almost exactly like the Wirecutter. They're put together very similarly. And, they obviously use the Wirecutter for inspiration for some of those. Now, I see Chunky Moose says, I've noticed several external links on Matt's posts to high authority sites like Wikipedia, YouTube, and I mentioned a .gov. Does doing this help improve your own domain authority or page authority? The answer is no, it doesn't. But those are good things to do because it helps Google understand that you are linking out to highly authoritative sources. You're linking to good content. It's good. You should do that. It doesn't change your domain authority or page authority or anything like that. Those are generally I guess, impacted is the right word. So the DA and the PA are impacted by incoming links to your site. However, linking externally is good and you should do that. All right, you should do that. And Derek mentions you may have to give them a try. You were asking how the code was. And when you say them, I'm not sure what you were talking about, or is that was that the theme that I was talking about or something else? So let me know in the description there. I've been talking quite a bit here, so I'm going to play another clip, and I mentioned Ellen before, so I'm going to play a clip back from that interview way back when, and I believe I need to change to this camera here, and then I can play a clip for you. So, and this is Ellen's strategy to get to $3,000 per month. She's going to talk about a few of her influences and some other details here. So this interview is from I think a couple years ago at this point. So Ellen continued to grow the site for, a couple years after that, and things are going great for her.
I had done this before with the travel blog and had some success. I'd had some articles that had ranked highly in Google. And so my strategy was just to do keyword research, but on things that I thought it made sense that people would be looking for in a particular niche. And so I started using KW Finder, was the keyword tool that my paid tool that I was using. And then I was also using Ubersuggest, which is a free tool. So I was using those two tools, and I was following pretty much all of the other leaders in kind of the niche and authority site field other than you. I hadn't actually stumbled upon you yet. And so, niche pursuits, authority hacker, and I had just come across Income School, I think. So I guess, YouTube figured out what I was looking for at that point, and then you popped up soon after. So my strategy really, I think I listened to one of them had done a podcast or something and just talked about, pouring a bunch of articles on in your niche and give it 6 months to a year. Doesn't matter what the competitiveness is. And I'm sort of putting words in their mouth there. They probably had much more nuance to it. But I wasn't really too concerned with the competitiveness of the keywords I was using. I just thought, I'll eventually start to rank for those. I was looking for ones that in Keyword Finder would have like a lower competition score. But honestly, now that I do KGR with those, that doesn't line up. Right. So I don't really even use those tools anymore. It just doesn't prove true. So I was just I was going to competitors' websites that were similar and looking for what they were covering. And then I was just like, I'm just going to do articles that are better. And since I knew enough about it, I could tell what kind of keywords they were targeting. Sometimes I'd maybe look it up in some rush or something. But mostly I was just reading the content and trying to do it naturally. And it's not that I think that the other folks like Authority Hacker and such didn't provide valuable information. I think that they did, and it definitely got me started. I actually think it's kind of a full puzzle, and each plays their own role. So, Authority Hacker specializes in like really detailed posts or podcasts on a very specific issue, but maybe if you don't buy their course, you're not getting quite the how-to. So what was really missing for me in my strategy and in the people that I was following, what was kind of the exact how-to, a formula. I really wanted a formula. And so when I was sitting there chopping vegetables and I hear you pull out this Excel sheet, and you start going over this formula, I was like, finally, somebody has done what I was looking for. So some of the articles that I published before that I had kind of found, okay, a competitor covers this, they do sometimes get traffic, but they hardly ever do. Like if I had just kept with that strategy, I might get 100 views a month. And actually, I have a second site that I was focusing on more than the current site at the time, and I didn't use KGR for it. And so I'm going back now and kind of KGRing it, if you will, and it gets like 100 views a day. And, I kind of follow some different strategies. Some of that was my own doing. Others, maybe I was listening to other folks. But yeah, so I think pulling pieces from kind of everybody's teaching has been helpful, at least in terms of my progress.
Yes. And that totally, thanks for all that background, by the way. It's really helpful because, I mean, I learned from, Niche Pursuits and Spencer, and then Authority Hacker. And I, to be honest, I haven't gone through their courses and stuff, but from afar, it looks like they follow roughly the same type of model, if I just had to guess. And I think you're right about pulling the pieces from different sources, and you had enough experience so you knew which pieces to pull.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I see.
I think that would be.
Yeah, because it's really easy to pull the wrong each of the wrong pieces, and then you're much worse off. And you don't understand why, but you already knew because you had a site in the past.
I had the site in the past. I'd been studying internet marketing for a long time. And also, I should add, I actually had the time. So kind of a key piece in my story in terms of why I even got started doing this anyway was because with my husband's job, we actually ended up having to move quite a bit. So I was just, going to be in a position where I was always going to have to be leaving a job or moving to a new city with no contacts, trying to get a job. So I wanted to do something that I could do from anywhere in the world.
Sure.
And that wouldn't be dependent upon his job, so that I didn't feel like every time we move, I have to give up my life and, move. So I wanted to be able to take it with me. And so we decided together as a couple that this would be our strategy, was to have me focus on this full time. And having that time did make a huge difference because I could kind of distill down all of the knowledge and the information that I was following from everybody and have time to wrap my brain around it, pick and choose what I wanted to do, and also test it out. Mm-hmm. And so I think if you're in a position to where maybe you have an hour a day to spend on your niche site, or maybe even less, plus you're trying to consume information from people, that can be really difficult. And I think that's where it's very helpful to have a structured course, because what you're essentially paying for in a course is not just the knowledge. I mean, a lot of that knowledge you and the others provide for free on YouTube. But the other piece of it is, well, here's all of that information in the order you need it, in the framework that you need it, and you can maximize your time. So it's, value for money, and kind of the time value of money that's important too.
Sure.
So I have to add that I think my situation is a little different. I don't want people to think that I'm just like, oh yeah, like you can just find all these KGR where, be making $1,000 a month in 6 months. No way.
Right.
It took a lot of hard work. I probably spend over 8 hours a day on this at this point. I hire writers. I do some writing on my own, a little bit of both. But right now it's not passive for me.
Got it.
In that regard.
Got it. Yeah, so that was Ellen. Again, that interview was from a while back, but you could watch the whole thing if you search on the channel, Ellen and Doug Cunnington. And I think there was something about, actually, if you just search that, you should be fine. You should be able to find it. And she's doing well. Like I mentioned, she wanted me to point out, hey, she was basically under the radar because she was focusing on family, her pregnancy, and having a child. So everything's going great for her. And generally, I'm impressed with how much she's been able to grow over time. Now, a couple other things I'll point out before we head out. There were a few questions here. So Derek was asking about the theme and how the code was. And from my perspective, it's super lean. I don't know how, awesome it is put together or anything like that, because I'm not a WordPress developer. But you can see I actually purchased it here. I didn't get a free copy or anything like that. So I actually bought the theme, and I do like doing that. I like to buy products so that I can speak freely. If I don't like them, I can talk about why I don't like them, and I don't feel like I owe anyone anything because I paid for the damn thing, And I know Matt pretty well. We're friendly, so it's a good theme. It looks clean, and again, it's a great framework to work on top of, and it got me to where I want to go, which is for the theme to stay out of the way. I want it to load fast, and I want the content to be on the sort of top priority. I want the content to stand out. A couple things that I wish it did have was the specific some of the specific formatting that I mentioned before. So some of the little boxes would be nice. It'd be very cool to have sort of an integrated way to put in like the opt-ins that Matt did. And maybe it's just a matter of poking around. I think I could probably find where he puts in his code for the opt-ins and then go from there. So I think, again, it's a fine theme overall. David says, besides Focus and Carbonate, what other themes do you guys use? So those are the ones I usually stick to. I have dabbled with some of the themes by Automatic, which is the parent company for WordPress. Some of those are paid, some of those are free, but in general, those are going to be updated well. They're going to be secure and generally kind of the best practices. Now, the flaw with WordPress in general is it is kind of a big behemoth at this point. It sort of runs slow, and there are, faster CMSs out there. However, WordPress is pretty much the standard for a lot of, blogging and a lot of the stuff that we do. So that said, even though the themes from WordPress and Automatic are probably going to have those advantages of being secure and well updated, the problem you may have is they may be bloated with stuff you don't need, and that is one of the flaws. So Alex asks if there's a link to Carbonate by chance. The answer is yes. My affiliate link is in the description, so I get a commission if you do purchase it. And one of the things that I have to point it out is there's no support for the theme. So if you have issues with it, like, you kind of have to figure it out on your own or hire a developer to help you. Now, it works out of the box to do exactly what it's meant to do, like have a simple site. Again, you can see the demo that I ran through here, and you can see how it works on Matt's site. You can see how it works on Swim University. And I'll probably test a couple other things just to showcase items. But what I'm going to do is, Alex, and I haven't cleared it with Matt, but generally people don't care. I'm going to put together my own like CSS that I use for Carbonate and on top of Carbonate. So if you buy through my affiliate link, then I'll give you the CSS that I'm using. I won't, offer support on top of it, but basically you can use the same format, and it'll be simple stuff just in general, and a pretty cool way to get a nice framework that's really fast and just some lean CSS that works really well there. Tiff mentions that she's using Generate Press, which is very popular. I know a lot of other people are using that too. And I think, there's a few others that are like just big ones like that. So Generate Press, and you know what? I can't even think of the others. The main thing that I always try and emphasize, and David, you've heard me say it several times, but I just don't like the page builders. I know they're marketed well, and people do want to have like drag and drop functionality to put together all sorts of different. I'm too close to the microphone. Just tickled my throat there. Basically, those typically run slower. They're big, and I personally ran into many issues like putting together a sales page, right? So I had this great sales page, and the theme in Page Builder that I was using was the Thrive Architect. And I was able to put together a pretty great sales page just in general, but it eventually was unusable. So I couldn't edit anything. I couldn't edit the font. It was terrible. And there were all these different layers of just, I don't know what to call it. All these layers of formatting that were in there that made it just bloated and terrible, to the point where I was like, I can't use it. I can't change the simplest thing. Thrive support sucks. It is terrible. Google it. Just search around. You're going to find people that are either Thrive affiliates telling you it's the best thing in the world, and then you're going to find people that tried to use Thrive and then found that the customer service was like on par with, I don't know, like trying to get the cable company to tell you what time they're going to come. Like, actually worse than that. It's much worse than that, because the cable company will tell you, hey, you know what? We don't know exactly when we're coming, but it's going to be like 8 to noon. At least you can get a window. The problem with Thrive support is there is none. They literally either they won't get back to you, or it takes like so many days that you've given up. So I paid for the extra support. I opened a ticket in their forum and I got no answer for like 4 days. So I asked for a refund. They luckily gave me a refund. I did tell them I was going to do a chargeback if they didn't give me a refund, because I was not confident that they were even going to get back to me, because no one answered my query for the technical support. Anyway, here's the big thing. Once I just copied and pasted the content of the sales page, and I just put it into a WordPress page. So I took it out of the page builder and put it into just a piece of content, a page in WordPress, and the size dropped by like 70%. Like, most of the stuff on the page was garbage. All the code was useless. It wasn't even doing anything. So anyway, that cured me from ever wanting to use a page builder again. And when it comes down to it, some of those like tiny things about the formatting that I was telling you about before, like, they can help just a little bit. It's kind of like nice to have, but totally not essential. And if you look at, medium.com, if you look at medium.com or some other sites where content is up front, you will generally see, like, it's just what we're looking at here. It's a single column. It'll use the white background with black text and straightforward. And Dami, and I'll read this out. Dami says, to be fair, Thrive is way better nowadays, especially the theme builder. I use Thrive and GeneratePress. Okay. I don't know. I haven't used it, but Thrive was a complete piece of shit before, and I would recommend, I don't know, like, unless they change the support, I think it's still probably pretty bad. So I haven't tested it because I learned my lesson, right? So at this point, I'm not going to use Thrive anymore. It's absolutely bananas. Why would I go back? But if people are, into it and it's working well for them, that's great. Fantastic. I did hear about their theme builder because they are excellent marketers and they have a bunch of affiliates out there that make a lot of money from pushing the products. But I would check before I bought it. I would definitely check and make sure that they actually give you some support. Matt doesn't offer support, but he tells you up front. He says, I'm not offering support. It is on the sales page. So that is okay. All right. Positive Creator says, Doug Cunnington, I'm only 1 month in and I'm getting like 30 hits a day on the site. It's so exciting. Cool. That is awesome. Positive Creators are using the keyword golden ratio. And Derek says you won't be adding Thrive to your cart. Yeah, no way, man, no way. And Bradbury says, don't sit on the fence. Yep. So my stand on those page builders is, it is harsh, but I almost feel like I have to be overbearing because so many other people are they're selling these products as affiliates, and maybe they do, maybe they load faster than I think. Maybe they're easier to use. But I could tell you, if you are spending a shitload of time on trying to put together the perfect landing page with one of the page builders, you're probably wasting your time, and you should be spending it on like the content and all the other stuff, keyword research, for example. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I don't really care what theme, people use, but if you ask me, I would say simpler is better. Some of my first sites, I was using the default WordPress theme. You know what looks pretty good? WordPress like 20x with Arial font and a single column. Like, that's usually pretty good. It'll probably load faster than some of those others too. So, all right, cool. Let's see. Let me see what else I had on my notes here. Oh yeah, another shout out to Ron Stefanski. I did mention income stacking. That's a term that he used, and basically it is sort of in place in a small way on Swim University. There was Amazon revenue, they had info product revenue, and some revenue coming in from YouTube. That's what it was. So 3 areas. Now, what Matt needs to do and what Matt's working on, you could read about exactly how he's implementing this. Matt is going to be trying to add other affiliate programs in. So that's another stream of revenue. It's important to have these additional streams of revenue. He doesn't want to add display ads or display ad networks, but that would be an option to have display ad networks. And what I would encourage Matt to think about is potentially to look at the posts where it's just informational content. Look at the post where it's not going to potentially impact his affiliate revenue, and maybe he could earn, because he gets so much traffic, maybe he could earn from that. The other area would be the direct ads. So that would be great. So direct ads with companies would be good. And that I think that's 6. And then the 7th that I would potentially look at is affiliate sales for digital products of some kind. So that would be fantastic to integrate. I don't know if there are other courses or digital products available, but if you could sell other people's products, that's great. You don't have to develop the product yourself. You don't have to do the customer service. You could just offer those products and you don't have to do anything with it. And I just thought of one other. Oh, this is, and actually I don't know if Matt is going to do this, but you could be an affiliate for potential services, right? So I'm an affiliate for Content Refined and Content Development Pros, for example. So if I refer people over there, I get a commission. Those are service-based businesses. Guess what? There are services for the pool industry, right? You need to put chemicals in and do other activities around, pool maintenance. What if Matt can be an affiliate for local companies? Well, there's probably thousands of those all through the country. And if he could work with these different companies, he could have sort of a local lead generation piece as an affiliate integrated into a site. That'd be pretty interesting. And those could lead to like long-term contracts for the service providers and stuff like that. So if you think like a little bit further, so not just digital products, but other people's digital products. And then what about services? There are services out there, and you could totally, bring business to those services out there. So, okay, so those are a few things that I would add. Looking at the notes here, and like I said, income stacking. So we talked, roughly about 7 to 8 different income sources. And go check out Ron's site. He's trying to grow, or his YouTube channel. He's trying to grow his YouTube channel. He just crossed over 7,000 subscribers. So 1 Hour Professor. I did a few interviews with him, so you could check it out. And last thing, so I'm doing a free challenge coming up in a few weeks. It's going to be June 8th through the 12th. It's free. There's going to be 3 live sessions and a couple days where I just send you an email. I'm working with the Internet Marketing Gold crew, and that is a forum out there of, I guess there's some side hustlers, there's some SEO professionals, and generally just smart people. Kyle Roof, Andy Stevens, and Ted, I always forget his last name. I'll just say Ted K. I haven't met him or spoke to him yet, but I'm working with them. So there's a link in the description. You can follow that link. You can register for it. Again, it's 100% free. There's some details about what we're going to go over, but generally I'm focusing on finding niches and analyzing sites so that you'll be able to choose a niche that has diverse revenue streams, so that if there's a commission rate change in the future or anything like that, you have diverse revenue streams, not multiple Amazon affiliate sites, right? So if you have multiple Amazon affiliate sites, you may feel like you're diversified, but you still had a vulnerability around that specific affiliate program. And I didn't diversify enough, right? I had some ads running, but I didn't try to pursue other affiliate programs, of which there are a ton out there. I just didn't realize it, or these other monetization methods that I just mentioned. So the 5-day challenge is a lead up, sort of a pre-launch period to the course that I'll be, opening up for enrollment. There's going to be a few days that you'll be able to actually enroll, and we're going to roll it out week by week. I'm going to be building a live site inside there. So it'll be a little bit scary, but we're going to go for it, see how it works out. Should be pretty awesome, pretty exciting. And I'm planning on working on the site for years. So I'm actually going to give it a good effort and try and pick something that I'm, confident is going to work out, and it'll all be inside the course there. So free to sign up for that challenge. And the other cool part, if you sign up for the challenge, if you do some of the action items through the week, you can win free enrollment, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome. So follow that link in the description. And, I'm over there in that forum trying to be a little more active than my normal forum activity. So, and Collingwood says, Kyle Roof is the world's #1 SEO. Yep, he's pretty badass. I interviewed him a little while back. Pretty cool guy. So, all right, I think I'm going to call it a day here and head out. Everybody have a good weekend. Look out for some cool stuff coming out next week. There's a tool that I really like. It's going to be on sale next week, so there's a video coming out on that. You can check out my email list. If you haven't signed up, you can sign up to over on nichesiteproject.com. Click the green button and then enter your name and email address, and I'll send you all my templates and stuff. So, all right, everybody have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you later.